Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Vanessa and you are watching the Exploring Oracle, or the Exploracle for short. So today we will be continuing with my deck collection series, and we will be looking at my decks about gods and goddesses. If this is the first time that you've caught this series, I am just going through my entire collection and I am deciding whether I'm going to be keeping a deck, thinking about it, or moving it along. So I will put in a playlist all of the other videos that I've already done on this collection, and let's just get into it. So the first deck that I will be showing you is the Audition Tarot. So this is quite new to my collection. I haven't really used it because I think it just arrived like a couple of months ago. It's plastic. It is bigger than standard tarot size. And as you can see, I did have a little bit of a misprint on my full card, but I don't really mind. It's not that bad. So it is color coded. All of the majors are in this color. Oh, sorry. I think this is this is the fire fire element, I think. So the wands. Then I believe these are the cups, so it's blue. And then you have probably the swords. Let's look. And then you have here your pentacles, or your coins. So the art style is almost like it's made of pre-existing art, although I'm not really sure if that is the case or this was created specifically for the deck. And you have here your majors. So I have always been interested in Greek mythology, so definitely definitely this deck is something that I want to get into. This is by Welkin Publishing, so it is an indie deck, and it comes with this really massive book. So it looks like it does have a lot of information, so I am looking forward to that, to reading it or having time to get into it. If you have been watching my channel for a while, you will know that I actually am drawn to these types of guidebooks, the really detailed ones, where I would get to learn a lot of things. But I also always complain that I don't have time. But yes, so this is the Audition Tarot, and definitely a keep in my collection. Okay, so let's move that to the side. All right. Next is also a relatively new deck, but I have been using this quite a lot. So this is the Afro Goddess Tarot Arcanas. So this is a mass market deck, and I have been enjoying working with it because it has a really direct to the point voice. I like the images. I have a flip through of this, and I did talk about this holographic detail. Initially, I wasn't expecting it. Even if up to now, I'm not really sure I like it that much, but I do enjoy working with the deck because the size is just right for my hands. It shuffles well, and yeah, it also has a really interesting, straight to the point guidebook, which I enjoy working with. So this was just released a couple of months ago, quite new, but I like working with it, so also a keep in my collection. If I have filmed a flip through of a particular deck, I will be posting it in the eye so you can have, or you can see the full flip through. So this one is the Hellenic Oracle. So this is by Garden Goddess Tarot. So this is by Thea from Garden Goddess Tarot, and I think this is from Make Playing Cards. So it is in linen cardstock. There's so many cards. There's over 100, I think, in this particular deck, and I love the art. It's also something that's forcing me to look up or to learn more about the Greek pantheon, which is something I enjoy, but I've lost over the years because, you know, I studied these when I was young, but you know, you forget. You just have some of those stories that stick with you, but not all of them. But it is an area of interest that I really like. So I definitely am. I've seen this in a lot of other tarot cards, but yeah, definitely one of the decks that I want to keep. I love looking at and I enjoy working with. So that is the Hellenic Oracle. Then let's move on to another deck that I've just recently featured. So this is the Tarot of Aphrodite. So I backed this on Kickstarter. This is already the second edition of the deck. And it focuses mostly on Aphrodite. So, honestly, for this deck, yeah, you can see some similar or same images as the other decks, but I enjoy looking at it. But my readings with this deck are mixed. So, I still really love the art though. So, I do have other decks that have a similar art style. Well, as you've already seen as well, but I'm not too sure whether I want to keep this deck. It's still really new in my collection, so I'm not outright saying that I will be rehoming it, but it just doesn't. I think it just doesn't connect with me as much as some other decks that have a similar style. And that's why, because since I do have those other decks and I get the same energy from them, I do feel less. I think that I will miss it less if it's ever gone from my collection. So right now, this is a maybe. So we'll see if it's something that I would eventually be home. This one is the Divine Feminine Tarot, the diurnal edition. So there is a night version, a nocturnal version of this. I got this from a friend. She was rehoming her deck, and I was drawn to the stark black and white imagery. It is something that I got when I was really focusing on working with the divine feminine energy, and that is why I picked up the deck. I haven't used it much since then, and I actually did consider rehoming this, but I forget what stopped me. I was thinking of gifting this to another friend of ours, but yeah, I think I thought I would give it another chance. I do have a lot of other decks that have or that work with divine feminine energy. I actually have an entire category for that. But yeah, I enjoy looking at this deck, but I don't necessarily feel called to work with it. But when I do readings, the guidebook is also quite well done. So it does give me it does give me a new perspective to my reading. So I think that's primarily why I decided to keep it, because of the guidebook. So for now, I think it's still a maybe. I'm not entirely sold about keeping this deck for a long time, but for now, I am still considering working with that deck. Next, we have this mass market oracle deck called the Mythic Oracle. So this one, I believe has been out for quite some time. Let me just do a quick check. So the copyright, 2008. So yeah, it's been out for a while. The art style here is very, I'll say old school, old school, classic digital art, and I'm not exactly a fan of it. It is. My readings with this have been okay. I do like it. I do feel like I work with it more just as a learning, just for learning, but not. I don't know. I'm just not too drawn to the images on this deck, although I do have some decks which have the similar art style that I like more. So I think for this one is also a maybe. Actually, I am probably going to be rehoming this. I also don't really enjoy the cardstock. It's quite thin. It's usable but quite thin and glossy. So eventually over time I feel like it will get a little bit sticky. I think that for now I'm keeping it because I haven't really gone through all of the entries in the guidebook. But once I have, I will probably be rehoming it. But it is a lot more, I feel it's a lot more accessible than some other decks that don't really have write-ups about the gods and goddesses. But yes, I think that I will be rehoming that deck. Okay, so let's move on to an indie deck. So this is the Muses of Tarot by Ethany. And this one is very interesting to me. So it actually has, it's more like a tarot reference guidebook, but you also have these muses that you could use depending on the type of reading that you would want to create. So or you would want to use. So for example, you have Divina, so it would be for prophecy related tarot readings. And like, who else do we have here? Holistic, so for health and healing tarot readings. And you have the corresponding cards that would be relevant to that particular muse or associated with that particular muse. And I find that really interesting. I do like the guidebooks that Ethany creates, and I think this is one of the reasons why I picked up this deck. The art, you also have the chakra cards here, and basically it like what you're supposed to do is you pick the muse that you want to work with, and then you can set it up on your altar, you can invoke, and you can work with that particular muse, and it will supposedly help you with your readings to have better readings. And honestly, I haven't done that. When I got this, I was so excited, and every time I pull it out and look at the guidebook and see what I can do with it, I get excited, but I haven't done it in practice. And I think that's usually my problem. But I have so many plans, but in practice I have so many limitations that but eventually these are the types of things that I really want to get into. And so the Muses of Tarot is safe in my collection. Now, looking at another Ethany deck, you have the Modern Goddess Oracle. So this one also has a really big, chunky guidebook. And I do like that basically you have information about the goddess, then you have the divination meaning, how to work with that goddess, the shadow meaning, and how to heal with that particular goddess. And the images here have all been modernized. So I know that not a lot of people enjoy that, but I find it interesting. I like having like the traditional imagery or the traditional representation of the gods and goddesses, but I also enjoy the more modern take. I don't necessarily have a calling to work with goddess energy all of the time, so it's not something that I work with or use all of the time. But yes, it's a refreshing take or refreshing look at goddess energy. But to be quite honest, this deck I think is a maybe, and it's really just because I have so many decks and I don't really know if I would really spend much time with this deck anymore. So I think that this is another one of those decks that I feel like once I've gone through the guidebook or once I've learned from the guidebook, I would probably be happy to let go of the deck after using it or after reading through it. Okay. Next we have the Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot. So I don't think that this deck speaks to a particular goddess, but it illustrates, or it represents goddess energy. So that's why I put it in this category. Now, the art style is not something that I am usually drawn to, but I did find this deck beautiful. So I believe this was previously an indie deck that was adopted or picked up as a mass market deck. And that's really great because it's more accessible. But ultimately, I do feel like I don't really connect with the deck. I don't know if it's because of the art style. I don't know if it's because of the write-up in the guidebook, because that is a big factor for me. But it just doesn't give me, or I just don't connect with it the same, the way that I want to connect with, like, this feminine energy, this goddess energy. And I just, the readings that I get with it are okay. It still reads well, but if you have so many decks, if I have so many decks, would I really want to spend even more time trying to bond with a deck that I feel like I don't connect with? Or do I pass it along to somebody who might appreciate it more? And I think that's where I'm coming from when I say that I would probably be rehoming this deck, because I feel like it would just be better off with someone. So this one will be rehomed, gifted, or sold to someone else. Next, we have the Egyptian Gods Oracle cards. So this is by Silvana Alasha. So this is a mass market deck, and I got it because I do have a lot of decks mostly for Greek gods and goddesses, but not a lot for the Egyptian gods. And I did recently purchase a tarot deck that had more Egyptian themes, and I wanted to have an oracle deck to pair with it. And I do like the way this one is created, because it's like it's created on papyrus. And yeah, so far I am enjoying this deck. And since I don't have any other decks about Egyptian gods and goddesses in my collection, this is a keep. I'm not sure if there are better ones out there, but so far I have been enjoying this deck. The guidebook, this is a Los Scarabeo deck, so the guidebook has multiple languages, so there's not a lot. There's just a paragraph for the write-up, but it does give you a pretty good introduction. And even though it's short, I do like the tone the tone of the guidebook. So this one is a keep in my collection. Okay, and lastly, these two decks. So this is the Goddess Love Oracle and the Goddess Dream Oracle by Wendy Andrew. And I also have a flip through of this already on my channel, so I won't spend too much time on these decks. Let me just put these away, and let me just show you the decks. So I have edged mine in red and purple, and the art style I enjoy a lot. I love Wendy's art style. It just feels so gentle and supportive and beautiful. I love the keywords. I also like, aside from the keyword, you have like a short phrase, and it's just very easy to work with these cards. They're colorful. Even though they're glossy, they don't really feel like they're sticking. I mean, look at that. Yeah, I really enjoy these decks. So they are definitely safe in my collection, and they offer me that supportive goddess energy that we all sometimes look for. Yeah, it's I think this is the reason why I also feel like I can let go of the Modern Goddess Oracle by Ethany, because this does feel a little bit modern, but in a different way, and but in a way that connects with me more, I think. Look at this, so beautiful. So yeah, this is the Goddess Love and the Goddess Dream Oracle decks, and they are definitely a stay or a keep in my collection. So that's it for my gods and goddesses collection. Which ones are most interesting for you? Do you have any of these decks? Let me know in the comments. And out of all the decks that I showed, I am actually the most excited to use the Muses of Tarot again, or to actually use it, because I haven't. I would probably take this out so that I can actually start working with it and see how it goes. Anyway, that has been my collection of decks about gods and goddesses. If you enjoyed it and you want to see more, stay tuned, because I will be uploading a few more in the next couple of weeks. And I will see you again next time. Bye!